On Monday, we got all of the nominations for this year's Jeff Keighley The Game Awards for 2025. Some interesting ones, a lot of expected nominations. I want to go through them all. I want to talk about who I think is going to win, which one I would prefer, even if it's not going to happen, and we'll go from there. First, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I talk about BioWare, I talk about Xbox, I talk about almost everything in gaming. Be sure to leave a comment, let me know what you're thinking about this video. Hit the like button on the video so more people see it. And if you really want to support what I'm doing here, consider becoming a YouTube member. If you want to see other ways to support and other content that I make, check out the links in the description. Okay, so we'll kick it off with Game of the Year. This year's nominations are Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Solid lineup. This was an interesting year because I think you could easily pick like 5 more, and obviously people would be upset if some of these weren't here, but people wouldn't be super mad if you exchanged most of these for 4 or 5 other games. I think you can make a good argument. As you can see from my vote on here, would prefer for Expedition 33 to win. I think this was clearly the best game this year. I don't actually think it was even close, but that's just a personal opinion. I respect what these other games did. I think it's cool seeing a Nintendo game on here that did something a little bit different. Hades is always an interesting one. Those games that go into early access, I like forget they exist. Hollow Knight is a game that I played a bunch of, and I played a little bit of, and I don't get it. I like those kind of games as well. I almost feel like the hype around it is just simply because it took so long to come out and there was so much hype around that. But it seems like the Hollow Knight 1 fans are big fans of it, so I get it. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's a tough one because it is a great game. You can tell from the reaction, from the way people love it, but it's like so niche. And the head of the studio who makes it is just the most insufferable, annoying asshole. But that shouldn't take away from the game, so it's cool to see it here. Death Stranding 2. Again, this is one of those ones that it seems like it was still not the best game on earth, but you get that Kojima hype, you get that PlayStation hype, and it seems like it makes itself to the list here. It does sound like it was genuinely a lot better than the first one, which wasn't really scored all that great back when it came out. This one scored much better. That's why it's here. But I think Clair Obscur Expedition 33, it took a known quantity, that type of, JRPG style game, brought it to a more Western audience. They did it extremely well. And it just from the voice acting, the gameplay, the visuals, the story, the writing in general, it's a game that is as close to having it all as any game I've ever played. And it's just, I would be very upset. This is the only one I think I'd be very upset if my pick doesn't win. This one would be it. We have Best Game Direction. Uh, this award seems so redundant to me. I feel like for the most part, the game with the best game direction is going to be the game of the year. If anything, this almost seems kind of like a Silver Place Game of the Year award to me, because I don't know if the Game of the Year ever wins this. So I would pick Clair Obscur. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Death Stranding or Ghost of Yotai get the nod here, almost as like a gift, And there is, and I'm sorry, like I hate the console war stuff. I genuinely do. The Jeff Keighley Awards and Jeff Keighley himself, and I think the people, the cast, he has vote on this, all the outlets and journalists and stuff like that, I think are very PlayStation adjacent, and I think will reward PlayStation here. Hades 2 and Split Fiction would deserve the award just as much as well, I think. Here we have Best Narrative. I'm picking Clair Obscur. I don't think it's any question. Any of the other ones, we have Silent Hill F being the first time we've seen that one here. I've heard great things about the stories of all these games. I've watched Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 playthroughs. I've taken in most of the story there. It is really cool. It's well written, well performed. I totally get it. Same with Death Stranding, Ghost of Yotai. All of these would be reasonable. Nothing I've seen from any of those tops Clair Obscur for me. It's just the 3 acts of Clair Obscur are just some of the most, especially the first time you play it, are just so jarring, and the way you're discovering the world and the context and everything. It's just, I don't believe it's better. We'll see. I think it is the one that will win as well. Best art direction. Again, I'm kind of a tired person here. Clair Obscur for me. I think this is one that Hades 2 may pull off. People really love the style of that game, and it is like absolutely gorgeous. Both the actual gameplay and the kind of in between time when you're doing the little cutscenes during dialogue, and even just walking around the your kind of base world where you're interacting with everyone. Hollow Knight, I personally don't think it looks all that great. It obviously has moments that I've seen that it's very beautiful. Ghost of Yotai, a very visually impressive game. I don't think doing anything all that crazy. In Death Stranding 2, I find those games to be kind of ugly. Personally, obviously their character models and animations are beautiful and all that, but I've just never gotten into the barren landscapes, even though I know it's a bit more varied in this game. For me, the painting style, just the general style of Clair Obscur, for me, is why it wins. I think it does still win, but this is one where I could see like a Hades maybe pull this one out. Best score in music. Again, we're seeing a lot of the same games here. I would argue that Clair Obscur's soundtrack is the best part of the game, and amongst all the other things I love about it, why I personally think it should be Game of the Year, and some of these other awards would give it here. I know for a fact Hades 2 has an insanely good soundtrack. Even Hollow Knight Silksong, what I've heard of it, it is very impressive. I wasn't really aware that Ghost of Yotai was getting that kind of props. I think there were maybe other games that could have been there. Same with Death Stranding 2. I'm sure Kojima makes sure to have amazing music in all of his games. The ones I've played, he has. So I don't doubt it. But still surprised to see Yotai when there were at least a couple other games I think that maybe could have made it in here. I think for me, Clair Obscur wins. This is another one of those ones where I almost feel like the voters may reward a different game just because they're sick of voting for Clair Obscur. We'll have to wait and see. Here we have Best Audio Design. This is the first time we've seen Battlefield 6. And for me, that's my pick. To me, I think like what I'm afraid of here is like with Clair Obscur, it's game like battle sounds and ambient sounds and all that, like actual gameplay are fine, but I don't think they really stood out, at least not to me. I think this award maybe gets a little confused by the voters of this isn't like best soundtrack. This is the best audio design, so the actual gameplay audio. I'm surprised Arc Raiders didn't get a nod here. There's a lot of conversation that maybe that's because of their use of AI, to each their own. The part of Arc Raiders I would reward though, like the environmental sounds and all that, the sounds of the robots and the weapons and everything aren't AI as far as we know. And those are what I would give the award to. If it was on here, I would give it to Arc Raiders, probably. Battlefield 6 gets my vote. It's insane. I've seen some people complain about it. I don't know. All I know is that when you see an explosion happen and there is that like little delay because sound doesn't travel instantly, when just the thump of gunshots and grenade explosions on the other side of a wall, shooting down a helicopter and the explosion and the sound it makes, it's just unreal. It's insanely good. I think Battlefield 6 deserves this. We'll see. I genuinely don't see that any of these other games really should be in the conversation. I'm probably going to be wrong. Here we have Best Performance. 3 of the 6 nominees are from Clair Obscur. You have Ben Starr, Charlie Cox, and Jennifer English, who's famously Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate 3, if you remember. Erika Ishii as the main protagonist in Ghost of Yotai. Kanatsu Kato, I assume, is the protagonist of Silent Hill F. My vote here goes to Troy Baker. If you've paid attention to me long enough, you'll know that I am not a Troy Baker fan. I get sick of hearing him in every single game being the same character every time. But if you've played the Indiana Jones game from Bethesda, from Xbox, his performance as Indiana Jones is, I would call it flawless, personally. I think it's just so insanely good. It's unbelievable how believable it is and how well he captures that Indiana Jones and that Harrison Ford voice. I can't imagine giving this to anyone else. I know obviously the Claire Obscure performances, Ben Starr is a gamer favorite. I think he's kind of one note personally. I don't think he's all that. I mean, he seems like a cool guy, obviously a good voice actor. I just don't find him to be all that interesting because he just sounds the same in everything he does to me. Charlie Cox is a funny one because he doesn't even seem to hardly remember doing it was Gustav in Claire Obscure, who has genuinely one of the best performances in any game I've ever played. And it sounds like he knocked out all of his lines in like an afternoon. And when people have brought it up to him, he like doesn't know the game, doesn't barely remember the character. He seems like proud of it now because so many people have come to him, and he was talking about in some interviews about how people have like run up to him in public, and he's like, "Oh, they're gonna recognize me from Daredevil or something," and it's for Claire Obscure, which he doesn't even know. I hope at this point he's at least checked it out. I really do. Jennifer English, her performance as Mael in Claire Obscure. If Troy Baker doesn't win, I hope it's her. It's so good. The emotion, the anger, the happiness, like all of those voice actors in that game do such a good job of expressing the whole range of emotions through the game. But she does an especially good job. And without spoilers, she's a pretty big part of the game. And I would like it to go to her if it's not Troy Baker. Here we have innovation and accessibility. This is like one of those, I hate to call it this because I think this is very important. Accessibility definitely is. This is kind of one of those throwaway awards that it seems like this is just the one for some other game to win that isn't going to win other awards. This is our first sighting of Assassin's Creed Shadows and South of Midnight and FC. This might be the first sighting of all of these. Assassin's Creed Shadows has like Ubisoft, like him or not, is extremely good with accessibility, whether it's for color blindness or other things. Even just like the difficulty things that you can change in Shadows is very useful for people who may struggle with being able to use a controller very competently and stuff like that. I assume all these games are doing a great job with this. Just personally, from what I saw when I played it, I think Shadows deserves this. And I'm honestly bummed that Shadows didn't get more recognition in these awards. It's an extremely good game, and it's one of those ones that, at least for me, I could have swapped into most of these other categories and felt okay about it. Games for Impact, again, this is the pro social meaning or message game. Don't want to downplay it, but this is kind of one of those like throwaway awards, it seems, to a point. Consumi, don't know anything about it. Desperatee, I actually did see some stuff with that, and it's a really interesting game. I have to be honest, I don't know a ton about it. Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, I assume this is one of the episodes of the Lost Records. Don't Nod is extremely good with these old like Telltale style games, kind of. I'm sure it has a great message as well. If I have to be completely frank, and then Wonderstop, no idea. The only game I've played here is South of Midnight, and I think it does this extremely well. It tells that kind of Southern African American experience, the music of the South, and all of that. Many of the things it explores in that game have to do with like race relations and how far what goes on with those in the history of the United States and the South and all that. I love it. I think this was such a good game. It's on my top 10 without a doubt. And long story short, I wanted to win an award, and if it's going to be this one, so be it. Best ongoing. This is a funny one because it's just the same games every year. This might be the first year that Helldivers 2 was on it. I can't remember. Maybe Rivals as well. I don't know how any game other than No Man's Sky wins this every year. They put out updates like 2 times a year. That would be like once in a genre updates for other games. Like almost any other game I play, if they got updates the size of a single free, they've all been free updates for No Man's Sky. And they've done 1 or 2 of them this year where they added like huge features and mechanics, just stacking on what they've built. There's no other game deserves it as much as they do. Fortnite, obviously, the money machine it is. Helldivers 2 being the kind of hot thing. I found what they've added to Helldivers 2 personally to be very underwhelming. I just kind of got sick of them always hyping stuff up and just knowing that everything that's happening is artificial. Whether you win or lose a planet and stuff is just, to me, it seems obvious that it's all planned, that your actual impact means nothing. But, that's just me. Marvel Rivals, vaguely pay attention to that. It seems like they are adding cool stuff there. Final Fantasy 14, gonna be honest, tried to play it for like 2 hours one time, couldn't get into it at all. I'm sure they're doing great stuff there. But to me, every year until they stop putting out updates, No Man's Sky should win this category. That's just my take. Best community support. This just feels so redundant to the other one. I guess this is more like a studio's interaction with their community. So I'm just gonna give this a Baldur's Gate 3, even though that game's like 3 years old now and they aren't doing updates to it anymore. I still don't see a studio that is more interactive with their community and more in touch with their community. And Baldur's Gate 3 with Larian is still it to me. I wouldn't be surprised if this could be No Man's Sky. This could be Helldivers 2, I guess. We'll see. But for me, it's still Baldur's Gate, and now I want to do another playthrough. Best independent game. This is a funny one because like Clair Obscur was published by, had a publisher, was immensely helped by Xbox with funding and all that, had a day one Game Pass deal. As compared to a game like, was it Blueprints or Ball X Pit or whatever, that had like one developer, So like I appreciate that. Like this category sucks if we have to be honest. I think last year or the year before it was won by a game that was literally like made and published by like a gigantic conglomerate. So like if I'm gonna have to pick one, it's Clair Obscur. I don't think it's even close from what I've played. This is almost one of those ones where I hope Absalom Ball X Pit wins, not Blueprints though. I think Blueprints is one of the most overrated experiences. I played like 15 or 20 hours of it. And I get it. I know why people like it. Like the things I heard people say, like I saw it. I get it. I get what you're saying, but I don't know. Blueprints was this year's Vampire Survivors to me. A neat game, something worth dabbling into, something worth enjoying for sure. But people trying to tell me this is like a game of the year or like the best of anything, I'm not there. So for me, I'm going to do the lazy pick, but this is actually one where I hope one of the games that I didn't play or didn't get into wins. Here we go. Another, in my opinion, redundant game, a redundant award. Best debut indie. I mean, I don't, this was actually Clair Obscur, that was their debut game and they are technically an indie studio. So it should be them. Blueprints, sure, why not? This Despelatee, okay, fine. This is the one where I think this will be a consolation prize award and it will go to Dispatch because Dispatch is amazing. If you've watched any of the playthroughs or played it yourself, it's insane. It's like the highest form of the old Telltale formula. So I actually hope it wins. My personal pick is Clair Obscur, and Megabunk, oddly enough, it pulled itself out of this. I'm actually surprised it's still on here because it shouldn't be, because the developer, the Vedinad, clarified like, hey, we've made multiple games. We just changed our studio name a lot. So kind of funny in my opinion that, the people who voted on this didn't even know that, but so Megabunk won't technically even be in the competition. Here we have best action game. To me, I played Doom the Dark Ages. I've checked out Hades 2. I played Ninja Gaiden 4. I haven't played Shinobi, so that's my blind spot here. It's Battlefield 6. Honestly, if Battlefield 6's single player campaign either didn't exist or was better, it'd probably, for me, be a Game of the Year contender. I think that trip up there just takes it down a hair for me, just below that level. But for action, yeah, it's insanely good. The multiplayer, the battle royale mode, the single player's fine. But yeah, it's Battlefield. Doom could get a nod here, maybe Hades. I didn't like Ninja Gaiden. I thought it felt bad to play and it looks like an old game. It feels like a remaster of a game from like 15 years ago. But that's just me. I'm also not really into those type of games. And Shinobi, I don't know anything about it. Best action adventure. Here we have some games we've seen before. I want Indiana Jones to win this because it basically is going to get snuffed out of a lot of these categories. It's a really, really good game. I didn't get super into it. I really wish it would have been a third person kind of action adventure game. Personally, it being first person kind of killed it for me. I just don't love that action. But just, my own experience and the things I, heard people say with this game, It'd be cool to see it win this award. Split Fiction would be a cool story too. Hazelight is such a cool studio, run by Joseph Ferris. They almost don't miss. Basically, every game they've released has been really good, and it'd be cool to see them get some recognition. Really, any of these would be fair winners, but my pick is going to be Indiana Jones. And then here we have Best RPG. This is a fun one for me. This is probably my favorite category. Avowed, Obsidian, super good. Clair Obscur, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Monster Hunter Wilds, I cannot believe this is on here. This game had insane player numbers. I think sold okay. But I've literally never heard anyone, like a normal person, a non-reviewer person, say anything good about this game. It sounds like it's a big performance problem, and if it just worked better, it'd be more beloved. I cannot believe it's on here, and I don't even think it's really I guess it's an RPG. Honestly, even Clair Obscur to me in this category is weird because in Clair Obscur, like, you make some decisions, but it doesn't affect the game that, it's not a huge branching narrative game. And I assume Monster Hunter Wilds isn't either. My vote here is for The Outer Worlds 2, and it's not even close. It is the most reactive game I've ever played in my entire life. The character that you build, the choices you make, the actions that you have, whether or not you read all the books and messages and computers and hack into computers and get secrets, and it all impacts the game so much. The first like 2 or 3 bosses in the game where you're in an arena, it's obviously going to be a big boss fight. I didn't have to fight any of them. I talked them all down. That's cool. I love that. I would have loved to have fought them, steal all their loot, but I was able to resolve those conflicts that way. And at the end of the game, it paid off, which is, spoilers. I won't get into it, but like, for me, this is Outer Worlds 2 for sure. I'm so happy to see Avowed get nominated here. These are both Obsidian games. They had a crazy year because they also had Grounded 2, which is doing, extremely well. People love that series. Avowed was awesome. It's just the high fantasy thing just isn't my thing as much. So I love that game. I love the combat, especially. I like Outer Worlds 2 more. Clair Obscur, it might just win this one. This is one where I could see Kingdom Come maybe get some scraps here and get this one. But to me, it should be Outer Worlds 2, and I don't really think it should be close. Here we have Best Multiplayer. I'm glad Arc Raiders got on here. I'd say there's a pretty good chance it's going to win just because it's the one category it's on. For me, it's Battlefield 6 for reasons I've already said. Elden Ring Night Rain, I forgot that game even existed. Maybe it's just outside of my circles. I'm not an Elden Ring guy. I'm not, into, those games in general, from software and all that. It's just not my thing. So maybe it's just a blind spot for me. Peak, that was like the big streamer game this year. Maybe it wins because of just popularity, I guess. Split Fiction would be a cool one because it's a forced co-op game. That would deserve it as much as anything. I think Arc Raiders is going to win this. I would like to see Battlefield 6 win it. We'll have to see what they say. And then the last one here is most anticipated game. I'm voting for Grand Theft Auto 6 because I think that's the correct answer. We could see the PlayStation voting base get Wolverine in there. Maybe. I don't think that many people are really that excited about 007, especially after the demo we saw, but maybe I'm wrong. Resident Evil Requiem, I kind of feel similar about. I know some people are super pumped. I think that game looks bizarrely awful from what we've seen so far, but that might be a minority opinion. And then The Witcher 4, people love CDPR, even though I think that maybe they should remember their transgressions a bit more. That's the way things go. Witcher 4, highly anticipated, has a little drama around it, but I think that's a vocal minority. It's a CD Projekt Red game. It's a Witcher game. People are excited for it. That's the one I think will actually win. But for me personally, it's still Grand Theft Auto 6, even though really it shouldn't even be on here because it should have come out like this fall. Whole different conversation. And that's all of the ones I voted on. There's a bunch of other categories. I either have zero interaction with those categories. I'm not going to vote on my favorite esports team of the year. I've never watched an esports competition for more than 30 seconds. I don't know who Faker is other than I hear people say his name all the time. So I'm just not going to bother with my blind spots that much. But all the power to you if those are things you're passionate about. Maybe in the comments, let me know who your favorite esports team is or favorite content creator is or whatever. So thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about, maybe if you have disagreements or if you agree with some of my thoughts on here. Let me know what your awards would be. And that's going to be it for this video. So subscribe to the channel, hit the like button so people see it, leave a comment, become a YouTube member if you want little special perks. Check out the links in the description of the video, other content, other ways to support. That's all I have for this one. So until next time.